that it was not the North Vietnamese. It was not the communists. It was not Russia. It was not China. It's not ISIS. It's not the Taliban. And it's not Muslims who put the Constitution of this country in danger and the values that we stand for. Take a look behind you. The capital of the United States. The enemy is in this city, in this time, in this place. The Capitol, the White House, the Pentagon, the people, the lobbyists, the money lenders, the war profiteers on K Street, they're the ones who are the danger of the Constitution. And we're here today because we stand by with you. We need your help to confront that deep state that has been created. And unless we start to do that, it's going to be too late. But let's start now. Join us. Thank you for being here today.
Matt Ho, who's our next speaker. Matt was a former Marine captain who was in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a former State Department official who resigned in protest from his post in Afghanistan over U.S. strategic policy. Prior to his assignment in Afghanistan, let's give him a hand of applause for that right there. Prior to Afghanistan, he served in Iraq, first in 2004 and 5 in Salah al-Din province with the State Department Reconstruction and Governance team. And then in 2006 and 7 in Anbar province as a Marine Corps company commander. He's a member of the VFP Advisory Board, and I am proud to say he has been on Veterans for Peace delegations with myself and others to Standing Rock, Okinawa, and Palestine. I love this guy, Matt Ho.
It's a great pleasure to be here in front of so many people who have inspired me, who've given me courage over the last 9 or 10 years. I remember being at Arlington Cemetery crying at the graves of friends of mine 10 years ago, friends who have been killed for no purpose in Iraq. And it's very hard for me to know that we are still killing people, killing men, women, and children 10 years later. I can't believe that we're still doing it. But it should be no surprise. You know, we're standing here in front of Lincoln Memorial, and as may have been said or will be said at some other point, it's 95 years to the day that the Lincoln Memorial was dedicated. What gets left out about that conversation a lot was that at that point in 1922, the KKK was at the height of its power. 4.5 million Americans were part of the KKK. The Great Migration was underway. The Great Migration, as I was taught, was African Americans looking for work. The reality was African Americans as refugees fleeing from the greatest terrorism the world has probably ever seen. And that occurred when this monument was built. So we should not be surprised, or I should not be surprised, that the killing still goes on. I can see the Capitol building from here. And every foreign visitor who comes, the great temple of democracy, the great temple of liberty. We tell them about the Statue of Freedom that's on top of it. We leave out that temple of democracy, that temple of liberty was built by slaves. We make it a great point to talk about the Statue of Freedom, how nothing in Washington, D.C., no building can be higher than that Statue of Freedom. But that's only in Washington, D.C. If you go across the river, if you go out Route 66, if you go up the Baltimore-Washington Highway, there are certainly plenty of buildings that are much higher than the Statue of Freedom. And they all bear the names Boeing, Raytheon, Northrop, Booz Allen. They all help to make Washington, D.C. and its suburbs have 7 of the 10 wealthiest counties in the country. We should have no surprise about any of this. It's just not the Pentagon, that racket, that unholy building over there, that mafia, right? That building that exists solely for organized murder. It is not just them. It is all these tall buildings with these names on them that all tower over the Statue of Freedom that is on top of the building built by slaves, that provide all these high-paying jobs for all these former colonels and sergeants, that allow this to be by far the wealthiest part of our country. And why is that possible? It's possible because of the killing. Because if it was not for those Afghans, those Iraqis, those Libyans, those Pakistanis, those Somalis, those Syrians, and those Yemenis that we kill every day, none of those buildings and none of those salaries would be possible. And so what I propose, because that obviously is what makes America great, those salaries and those tall buildings, I propose that going forward, the day after Memorial Day, we have an alternate Memorial Day. We have an alternate Memorial Day to remember those men, women, and children who every day, including today, are being killed, are being ripped apart, are being burned alive by our bombs. All so that this area here can be the wealthiest part of our country. So that people like me can leave the military and have high-paying jobs in the defense industry or in the intelligence industry. You know, of course, there's no separating the wars at home from the wars abroad, right? There's no coincidence that the day that Donald Trump announced the largest weapons sale in the history of mankind to the most repressive regime in the world, of course, that the largest reduction in health care and food assistance was also announced. That's not a coincidence. So on that alternate Memorial Day, I also propose that we recognize those who are victimized by our wars at home. Those who have died at home, here, dying for America's greatness here. Those first people, those African Americans, those Asian Americans who helped build the West or who were interned, our brothers and sisters from south of our border, and of course, those who will die from not having the health care they need. But, as I said, it's been 10 years since I came home from Iraq that time and cried at the graves of my friends. And still, we're killing. Still, the money is being made. And it's, as I said, it's hard to believe, but it still goes on. But anyway, I want to start this as I began it, though, by saying thank you all for being here, and thank you for the inspiration so many who I see here have provided me, so many who give me courage, so many who have shown me the right way to conduct myself and to lead my life. I see so many of your faces in front of me, including one standing right to my left. So thank you all very much.
I'm honored to be here. Yat shik doshidine she Lila Junior she Nanisht ejit kachini shlan halkai dine bashishi ashihe doshiche Belagana dashinale Taos New Mexico dent na shant Bedil dasanil shagran akut ego dine astanishla. Before I begin my speech and my song, I want to honor the Piscataway Nation, who is indigenous to the land we're standing on now. Can we say that together? Piscataway, Piscataway. Now you know whose land you're on. And no, they're not extinct. They're right down the road and they need some help right now. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here because you guys are my heroes. The Veterans for Peace, I have always looked on from afar, seeing what you do with great admiration and great joy. You bring me so much joy to know that people who have gone overseas and have seen the atrocities that occur have come back home and are fighting a new battle, fighting a new war. And they're not using weapons. They're using truth and faith and compassion. They're using their voices. And our brother spoke earlier about how disappointing it is that 10 years later, he's still fighting for peace, you know, and that he was crying at the graves of his fallen brothers and sisters who died in Iraq while he was with them there. And I feel that sentiment. It is hard to keep fighting year after year after year for peace, but at the same time, there's nothing else I'd rather do. It gives me joy. The struggle is hard. The struggle is hard, but what greater honor is there in this time than to serve Creator? Serve Creator's vision of harmony, to serve Creator's vision of woman's leadership, to serve Creator's vision of nonviolence, peace, of abundant, thriving biodiversity. And so in this time, we may be fighting for many more decades for peace, unfortunately. But we're not going to stop, are we? No, we're not. Because with every breath and with every step, we are meant to bring Creator's vision to life more and more and more and more. And those of you who are watching from camera, you can't smell what we smell right now, but it smells really bad right here. And to me, that's a metaphor, you know? America has a very shiny edifice, a very pearly white outside, but the insides are diseased. And in the spirit of my ancestors, we work to heal disease. We do not judge it. We do not hate it. We pray for it. We pray for the healing of the diseased. And those who commit war are perhaps suffering from a greater disease than any cancer patient. They are suffering from the disease of fear, greed, and anger. And so at this time, before I sing my song, I just want to pray for a moment, if that's okay with you all. Creator, we ask for your help at this time. We ask for the healing of our dear brother, Mr. Trump, our dear uncle. May you please bless his heart, mind, soul, help him to heal whatever he experienced as a child, Creator. We ask you to heal. We ask our message to penetrate the walls of what my brother was saying of Boeing and Northrop and all of these industries that profit from death, Creator. May you please help them to feel your love. May you please help them to feel your truth. May you please help them to hear the scream of the earth. Help them to hear the scream of the people they are killing, Creator. Heal their hearts, heal their minds, heal their souls, Creator. Oh, yes, it's a war, but we've seen it all before, and now we know we can change it, 'cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Yes, we are the ones that Grandma has been praying for, so rise up. All you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up. Pueblo hermoso, levántate, es nuestro tiempo. No tienes que esconderte más, porque ahorita es nuestro tiempo. We are warriors of love, we are warriors of peace, and we will not hide ourselves anymore. Oh, nations rise, rise up, 'cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, 'cause now's our time, yeah.
Our demand for no war, to continue our demand for peace at home and peace abroad, because we see the connection. Veterans for Peace sees and understands the direct connection between the oppression and the poverty and the racism and the misogyny here in the United States and the wars we wage overseas. Right now, wars and militarism are threatening the very existence on this planet of human beings. Okay, so that's what we're doing out here, and that's what we're going to the White House to talk about.
We don't want another war. Peace is what we're marching for. Peace is what we're marching for. Peace is standing tall. Vets for Peace is standing tall. Marching for peace at the mall. Marching for peace at the mall. Am I right or wrong? You're right. Are we going strong? We're strong. Sound off. 3, 4. Things count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. No war. Flag when you attack. Wave the flag when you attack. When you come home, they turn their back. When you come home, they turn their